talking to someone who was racist, I would want to tell them that they need to educate themselves.
It's so easy to spot us out. You can easily pick at the darkie, that's what they say.
If you're going to judge them, at least get to know what they're like first and then see what you're going to say about them.
People, just because they're different in certain aspects, doesn't make them any inferior or make them that different to other people.
They'll always judge you like, oh, she's got better this and I'm better that. And they'll always find flaws in each other.
You can't get a black man. You can either get a brown person, or you can get a really dark brown skin. People need to educate themselves.
Yeah. I don't think I have ever had any intolerance towards me, just because we do live in quite a tolerant place, and I go to a tolerant school.
Even in primary school, if they're like, oh, can I borrow your rubber? And another person asks, but they happen to be white, they'll give it to the white person first instead of me first. But I don't think it's because of religion, I think it's colour.
Up to primary 7, I used to get, general bullying, not getting involved in anything, get pushed aside into the corner. I got something said to me by someone and I was so upset when I came home. And I sat there crying, and I think I was crying for a week. And my brother got me up, he took me in front of my mirror and he goes, look at this mirror, look at everything around you, look at all the happiness you have around you. So why are you crying? Why are you being an idiot? When I got to first year, it's a new school, a whole new load of people. I was like, do you know what? It's enough is enough. And that's where I started standing up for myself. I am different and I'm proud that I'm different.
I think it's just bad that we do live in a society where people aren't tolerant, or people make assumptions as well. Like when something happens, it's always that they're the whole group of people doing it, not just one specific person. Within the Jewish faith, I don't know, I'm quite an anomaly because I go to an Orthodox synagogue, but I wouldn't count myself as Orthodox because I'm not that religious in the sense that most Orthodox are. So I'd probably say I'm not a modern Orthodox, but slightly less than a modern Orthodox. So I will drive on Shabbat and I will use lights and everything. The main Jewish beliefs are that there was one God and that he had lots of prophets, and so his main prophets were people like Moses. With the 10 Commandments, they're just 10 laws that you should live your life by, and the first 5 are about how between a human and between God. So it's things like honouring God, not worshipping idols, keeping the Sabbath day, and then the second 5 are between human and humans, so not stealing, not killing, and they're all quite obvious rules that you would have, but without them actually being obvious, you wouldn't think about it. So, and some of them are quite subtle things, like honouring your mother and father is one, which generally you wouldn't see as having to be a law, but in Judaism it's quite an important aspect.
Of course, I'm a Muslim. I believe in one God. I follow the religion Islam. I was born a Muslim. It's a perfect religion. It's just the people that follow it, that portray it, aren't perfect, because humans aren't perfect. They have flaws. And it's the things like that that make other people think of Muslims being bad. When you're younger, you learn you're not allowed to swear. You must always obey your parents. You pray 5 times a day. When you're little and you obviously obey your parents, when someone realizes they disobeyed their parents, they'll feel like, oh my God, what have I just done? Or they'll get really scared. If you hear someone swear, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm never going to say that word in my life, kind of thing. Then you grow up and then you realize what society is actually like. People that are extremists or terrorists, things like that, I don't really know much about them personally. I don't really want to get involved in that part. It doesn't really affect me in a way. For example, they're like, oh, Osama bin Laden, this and that, #1 name as terrorist, obviously he's a Muslim, kind of things. I don't know him, I don't personally know him, I just follow the same religion as him, so what can I do about it? I think what I've been brought up with is good, reasonable, it's important, and I can always rely on God because he's always going to be there, but people aren't.
My personality is representing me as a Sikh, not representing Sikh community as a whole. So we believe that there is only one God. So it doesn't matter whether you follow what faith you follow, what religion you follow. At the end of the day, we all believe in that one God. Yet it's different that we see God in different forms. We believe in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, so that's our holy scriptures. That is our 11th living Guru. Like we have in Sikhism, we had in the past, we had 10 Gurus who were our kind of teachers, right? So like we have teachers in school who guide us through life, who prepare us for that one point in life where we can set out in the big bad world on our own 2 feet. That's the same thing that our 10 Gurus done for us.
I think that I am guided by being Jewish because I do have something that I know is like a baseline of where I find my morality. So like I know that if I need to make a decision, being Jewish can often help because you think, would this be in line with what I believe? But then a lot of the time, being Jewish like doesn't even cross my mind. Like I know to myself what's right and what's wrong. I think for me, praying doesn't really make me feel any different. Like it's almost like when you learn to read, how you read something over and over again so you can learn to read it. That's what it's like now. Like it's just going through a set of motions because you should. When for some people, every time they pray, like it means something different. But that never really happens to me. An Orthodox Jew, like a very religious one, you'll pray 3 times a day. But I only pray when I go to synagogue, which would be on a Saturday.
Well, Muslims, they have the Quran, the Holy Scripture, which was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. I read them like at Mosque every day. When I pray, I usually wake up earlier than anyone else does, and it's like the whole house is quiet, it's dark outside, and you pray, and it just feels so good. Like it's just you and God and no one else, and you just praying like take as long as you want and just focus. Sometimes I just have those days where I don't exactly concentrate on them, because when you're praying, anyone else that does pray will know that everything goes in your mind, every single thing. Like you will just sort of think of the most randomest things that happened like 3 years ago, and it will come in your mind, and you're just like, I'm trying to pray here, what's going on? But it's just, you need to focus, you need to think that you're praying to God. It's the most important thing, and well, one of the most important things. It needs to be done like 5 times a day. I don't think it's a burden. Sometimes like I enjoy it, but sometimes I just feel that, okay, just get over and done with.
I get up between sometimes 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock if I'm really lazy. I get up and then I go and do my daily prayers. Once you do that, then normal student life, you go to university and then come home. Or you go to bed, you do your Kirtan Swila part. And throughout the day, you're always doing Nam Simran, which is basically just repeating God's name. Sometimes, yeah, you do get bored of it as well, and you want a wee bit of a change, so you stop for a while. But I'm always just repeating God's name, because that is what I feel happy doing. What's changed in me after becoming baptised is I've just become more closer to God. Where I used to rush before do my evening work quickly, hurry up, I need to go and watch my programme. Now, no, I sit there peacefully because I enjoy doing it peacefully now. But I do feel I have a lot more to work on though. I have so much to work on. I'm only this close. I've only got that much closer to my God. I haven't got that much. I still got ages to get that much closer to Him, you know.
Kosher means that the food has been specially checked so that it doesn't have like meat residue or like anything to do with unkosher meat. You have to eat an animal that has a cloven hoof and that chews the cud. So that's things like cows and sheep, but not pigs, because they have cloven hooves but they don't chew the cud. You have to have special stamps on the food. You get some symbols that have the rabbi's name on it, and you have some symbols that are just in Hebrew that you know, but you know it's going to be kosher. And then you get some symbols that have the word parav on it, which means that you can eat it either after milk or after meat. It has neither. And then you have some symbols that tell you that it has meat in it, so you automatically know that you can't eat milk after you've eaten it. Normal gelatin is normally from non-kosher animals, so we have fish gelatin instead, which is used for things like marshmallows. And so like shellfish isn't kosher because they don't have the scales.
Every Muslim is supposed to eat halal. I do. Me and my family do. We're not allowed to eat pigs. I personally don't know exactly why, but that's what we've been told. So it's written that we're not allowed to, so there's no question in it. For example, a chicken, they say the first kalima, and then they cut the chicken by the jugular vein, which instantly stops it from feeling anything. Ramadan is once in a year, the whole month of fasting, not all at once, but each day, wake up at just before sun rises to have like a little portion of food, and then throughout the day until sunset, that's when you are not allowed to eat, not even drink, not even water, not even chewing gum. And then after sunset, then you're allowed to eat. And it's not just about physical, it's about bad deeds that you do. Like if you don't pray but you're fasting, then that's just you going throughout a day being hungry, and you're not like gaining anything from it. So you're meant to like work upon yourself, and I think fasting is like an amazing experience. You realize how grateful you are for the things you get. People that don't have food, you wish you could do something for them. But in school, like if we're fasting and they're so shocked, they're like, whoa, so you're not allowed to eat? And we're like, no. And they're like, you can have water though. It's just like, we're not even allowed water, it's okay. I'm like, how do you go to that? I can't even go through 2 hours without eating. And we're just like, it just comes down to the mind.
Before I became baptised, I was known as the party girl. First person on the dance floor, last person off. I dance like as if I've got some sort of ghost inside me, you know, Michael Jackson's ghost inside me. In our Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they say that you shouldn't dance like a monkey. It's not that I'm not allowed to dance, it's that I can't dance in my mad haywire way anymore. I have to be, you know, that mature girl who stands on one side and claps like an old woman, let's say. The other thing would be my music. If there's no music, there wasn't any Ekjot. Replacing that with Sikh hymns, I've noticed that when I used to listen to all my Bhangra music, all my Bollywood music, there would be times afterwards it would influence my head. I get angry really quickly, or it just filled my mind with a lot of negative stuff. But see, when I start listening to my hymns and stuff, it calms me down a lot. It's like, it takes me to a whole different place where I'm a completely different person, I'm completely calm. It just changed me, it made me so happy. I think lastly, the biggest thing that's actually a practical thing that's affected me a lot is food. So we can't eat things that's got gelatin, egg, shellac or meat. And a lot of things have egg in it these days. I miss my cakes. I'm a foodie, I love food. I'm always eating. But one thing I would say is that when you shut one door for God, God opens another 10 doors for him. And he opened me with like so many yummy food. So it is a bit of a hard thing, but it's a good change, and it's not a change that I regret either.
So a typical day, like being Jewish, doesn't really come into it, except when it comes to eating. Like that's the only time I notice it. So it's quite difficult when we're going out because I'll eat vegetarian out. So then whenever we go to like a restaurant, like I went to Nando's with my friends, and obviously it's a chicken restaurant, so there's like 2 choices that I could choose from. So that's quite like a hindrance. And then also having to like check the packets of food, like check that they're vegetarian and check that they don't have other things in. And yeah. So, like, I'd literally just do what every other teenager will do. But then at the weekends, you notice it more because, like, I go to synagogue on a Saturday and I teach in a Sunday school on a Sunday. But that's probably the only time that, like, it's obvious to me that I'm doing something different.
Turban is an English term. We call it a dastar. The way you recognise a Sikh is with the dastar. It is to keep your head covered, to respect your hair, because basically your hair is a gift from God. That's why we try to protect it. And like you all have a bad hair day, I could also have a bad dastar day where it could take me a maximum of 45 minutes. And then at that point where you're pulling your hair out, I'm ready to tear the material. It's been about a good maybe 3-4 months since I've started wearing it. And I thought it would take me really long to do it, but it only takes me like 10 minutes to do it. And then basically you get this material, which my material is 7 meters long. Just taking each piece of material and straightening it out properly and just wrapping it round to make the neat layers. And until you get to the top, and then you tuck the last bit in the back, and then you put in. People can wear up to at least 50 meters on their head. Everyone has their own unique way of tying it, and that's another thing that's so beautiful about this style, that no one can ever copy your style, no one can copy it ever, which makes you even more unique. So the whole point with the star is that it keeps my hair in place and it stays on perfectly.
I think I get more respect because I wear the hijab than oppressed because I'm not. There are Muslim girls that don't wear the hijab. I obviously do. And I think people treat us differently because in primary school I never wore the hijab. And I went to first year and I wore the hijab. And everyone's like, Serish, what are you wearing on your head? I was like, it's the hijab. And they're like, why'd you wear it for? I'm just like, it was part of my religion. I'm growing older now, so I might as well. And they accepted it. They didn't judge me for it. They still knew who I was. I'm still the same person. I just cover up more. I wear my hijab everywhere outside. In my house, I take it off. And outside, I wear it to school, wear it in PE. I'll wear it if I ever go to the gym. I'll wear it there. You wear the headwear, and as you can see, I'm wearing a long dress, long sleeves, and like if you're in public, be modest because it's not just physical. It's obviously like inside and who you are. There used to be a women's pool somewhere in Leith, and we used to go there a lot because obviously you can't go to the same pool as a man. If we're like on holiday, then you can get like a full-length swimming costume. It's called a burkini. And you can get like a headwear, you can just cover up and go into the pool. I think it's okay. So yeah, I wouldn't mind. If women want to cover up, then that's their own choice. But when women want to uncover themselves, and that's perfectly fine in this society, which isn't even fair, because it's more accepted to be naked than covered. And that's not even basic respect.
There's always been like discrimination between Jewish people, so like the most obvious ones being like the pogroms and the Holocaust. And so that was just people truly being ignorant and not knowing and being educated in the wrong way, so one person's belief being projected onto everyone. It's made us more of a race than a religion, because now you get a lot of secular Jews who have no belief in God and don't go to synagogue but will count themselves as Jewish. So it's more part of who we are rather than just a religion that we've picked up on. Although like we're not from a specific country, we all have like the same base layer of heritage almost, and a way that we think of things and a way that we do things. Technically, to be Jewish, you have to have your mother who's Jewish and then like her grandmother, so it goes down the mother's route. Often when people do marry out with the really orthodox synagogues, they won't let them be members and they don't count their children as Jewish, which means they don't get all the opportunities that someone whose mother is Jewish would. My dad's not Jewish. And so over the years, he's like learnt quite a lot about it. So at Passover, he knows what we're doing and stuff, and he can like follow the book, and like he knows when all the festivals are. So it hasn't really impacted us at all. I think in the future, I would like to get married, but I don't really think it matters who to. Like, I don't mind if they are Jewish or not. They just have to be accepting, that I want to bring up my children in a Jewish faith. When I do get married, it'll be my choice because it was my mum's choice, so she thinks that we should be able to have the same choice that she did.
Well, arranged marriages are quite, I don't think it's an Islamic thing. It's not even Islamic. It's the fact that it's more of a traditional, cultural thing, because if people are saying something about arranged marriage, it's probably from like a Pakistani person that's been mentioned in it, or Indian. I'm not sure about other cultures. The parents can arrange something. They can be like, oh, for example, if my mother came to me and said, I think you're old enough to get married, and I would be like, okay then. She'll find someone suitable that she knows me, she's raised me, she'll know everything about me, she'll find someone who's suitable for me, that has respect for me, etc., etc., because parents do know best by the end of the day. And they'll find someone who's suitable for me, and they'll be like, okay, Serge, this is the guy, we want to meet the family, etc., etc. And she'll let me have the decision whether I want to marry them or not, because marriage is a huge step in life, and that's where you're going to be for the rest of your life. So she'll give me the decision whether to do it or not, but she would never force me into it. If I said no, then she would be okay with that, and I'll give her a reason why, of course, but if I wanted to marry someone myself, then I would at least do it in a sensible way, tell my mum that I would like to, and then she'll have to agree to it for it to actually happen.
Being a baptised Sikh, I can't marry anyone outside my Sikh faith. Neither can I marry a person who's not baptised. Getting married to someone outside the faith is not really a question. My decision of going to university, my parents were 100% with me with that. You know, my dad was the happiest person when I told him I got, you know, my unconditional, the first child in the family to get into university. You know, so he was the happiest person, like any parent would be. My future dreams of like going out of the country to a different state, yeah, my parents are worried about that. At the moment, they don't agree with me. Part of getting your goals is convincing your parents to let you do some things. But as far as marriage is concerned, yeah, they totally agree with me that I'm not going to get married just now. I'll convince them of no way, any other way as well, if they find a way out to try and get a relationship for me, because that's not happening.
I'm going to Israel in the summer for the first time. I'm really excited because we're doing a thing called Tour, which is like what every Jewish teenager, when they finish their GCSEs in England, so my high is up here, they go for 4 weeks with like a youth group, and you just go around like the whole of Israel experiencing it. And so I think it's going to be really good, but then I think again, it's you do miss out quite a lot, so like you don't get to see the other side of like what's going on there, so you don't get to see like the Palestinian view, you just see the Jewish view. I think it's bad because people have such a view that like you can only have one view, like you have to be either like pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, when really like you shouldn't have to make a choice of either. Like you can be not pro both but not against both, like you can be on the fence, that's the word about it. In the future I want to go to university and probably study geography, as that's something I'm really interested in, and then possibly mix it with theology or religious studies because I also find that quite interesting. And then hopefully that will lead to me being able to work with people from different cultures and understanding about their backgrounds and how their cultures came about and all their different practices.
Learning to respect people is a big thing in Islam, and obviously I still carry it out today. So I think it shows a lot through who I am. I've had this dream of wanting to like move to somewhere, but God knows where. I don't know where I want to move. All my friends are wanting to go to Dubai in America, but I'm more of a realistic person that just wants to stay here and raise my own family. When I leave school, I'm going to go college to do counselling, is because it's such a like an important thing that people need, like to help people, and I'm always that person that people like need help from.
For me personally, I don't ever want to just be bound between four walls of a marriage. I want to make something of myself, and that's why in the future I have plans that I want to become that forensic scientist. I want to reach my goal of going to, you know, America. I actually have that American dream living in Glasgow here. I want to travel, you know, the world for a year or two, and then my parents can happily get me married to whoever they want, but a nice guy with a good job and a chef. who cooks for me, but life is far more beautiful than standing there thinking, oh my God, this person said to me, I'm going to go home and cry now. I love being happy. What's the point being sad? Life's already got too many pains in it. The only way I think life becomes beautiful is you keep yourself positive.
I live here. I'm proud to be Scottish because I am. When it comes to faith, people are really down to earth about it, and they don't look down upon people because they know that everyone stands on the same ground. Okay. Oh Allah Ta'ala.
I speak in folk tongue after 2, 1, 2.
My ideal world would just be where everyone was treated fairly and in the way that they should be, and everyone would be able to live in the way that they want and be who they want to be. I think when it comes down to people doing extreme things like murdering other people because of their race, they just need to know that it's not acceptable because they're all human beings, like we're all the same species, like it doesn't matter what race or religion you are. When it comes down to it, you are all human.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and...